Once upon a time, an old lady sat crying. Up came her son panting and asked, "Hey mom, anything ailing?" Said the old lady whining, "I can hardly see a thing of what I am reading or writing, or even of what I am eating. Now, son, can you do something?" The son got up thinking and went around tinkering this thing and that thing, but never got the exact one thing, till one day out of the sand came something shining. And voila! He had discovered a glass magnifying. This he gave his mom, smiling. "What is this?" asked his mom, observing. "A magnifying glass," said the son, demonstrating. "It makes things look bigger, no matter at what you are looking." Looked the old lady through the glass, watching, and saw how big became her writing and reading. "How astonishing!" she exclaimed, her eyes twinkling. "This magnifying glass is amazing!" "Yes, an incredible tool of science it is for observing," said her son, beaming. Thus ended the tale, heartwarming, with the magnifying glass rescuing. But do you know the story of the magnifying glass? About how or where it was made, or how it became the tool of science? Here is how. Welcome to the story of the scientific observing tool, the magnifying glass. A very long time ago, when Earth was still a hot, gooey ball of gases, volcanoes erupted and out flowed lava. This lava cooled and formed land. And hidden in that land at some places was obsidian, the first naturally occurring glass known to man. But obsidian is not the only glass gifted by nature. Fulgurite is too. Fulgurite is formed when lightning strikes sand in a desert. The heat from lightning melts sand, and out of it comes fulgurite. Of course, some marine algae have a silica skeleton which also forms glass. Our hunter-gatherer ancestors used obsidian and fulgurite for arrowheads or ornaments. And there was not enough to do anything else because obsidian is rare and fulgurite is rarer still. People who could not find obsidian sometimes used rock crystals or quartz to make their ornaments. Interestingly, these clear rock crystals were cut into spherical lens-shaped objects but were never used to look through. And then along came man-made glass by accident. Legend says that somewhere around 5000 BC, a ship of Phoenician sailors harbored at a shore. They were looking for bricks to set up the base for their cooking pot but found none. So they fetched nitrum blocks from their ship and used them as bricks instead. It is said the heat from the fire melted nitrum, which then mixed with the beach sand and out flowed a liquid which later solidified into glass. But of course, archaeologists say otherwise. According to archaeological evidence, it was Egyptians who made the first glass around 3500 BC, followed by the Mesopotamians, Greeks, and Romans, and then the East. At first, man-made glass was difficult to manufacture. It was slow and needed very high temperatures to melt sand and wood ash, which formed glass. And the glass thus made was used to make beads, glass vessels, and sometimes burning glasses. And these glass vessels were owned by very few because glass was very expensive. But then, gradually, things changed. More and more people tried to make glass, and then, in the 1st century AD, the glass blowing technique was developed by the Syrians. This technique made glass making easy, and soon many people owned beautiful glass dishes, vessels, and burning glasses. Though many people used these vessels for storage, one Roman scholar, Seneca, experimented a little further, and around 60 AD, he found that round glass vessels filled with water can make small letters appear big. And this was the first record of a magnifying glass. But then, no one knows exactly how and when these water glass globes became the small hand lenses. It is said that both Romans and Venetians made small manageable lenses. Venetians, who are still known for their glassmaking skills, invented glassmakers' soap to remove all the stains from glass, and thus they got the first clear glass. The Romans were tinkering with the clear glass, trying to produce different spherical objects, when suddenly one of them ended up with a glass thick in the center and thin towards the edges. And upon looking through it, they found that small objects were magnified. They called these spherical objects lenses, meaning lentil-like. And though glass lenses were used by Roman engravers as early as 174 AD, they were not common, and their use as magnifier were left unexplored except in a couple of books by Ptolemy and other scholars. And around 200 AD, after the Roman Empire broke, glass making lost its glory. The written records of glass making were lost, and so were the lenses. But then, some of the texts, including Ptolemy's, survived and got translated into Arabic. And in 1031 AD, Arabic scholar Al-Hasan described how the magnifying glass should look if it is to be used for scientific activities. And he also described the process of making such a magnifying glass. But Al-Hasan did not make any lenses himself, nor did he mention that looking through it would make things appear big. Over time, these Arabic texts were translated into Latin and entered the European continent again. Around 1000 AD, Venetian glassmakers, using their expertise and knowledge, manufactured reading stones, the first official magnifying glass without a frame or a handle. Finally, inspired by the reading stones and the Arabic texts which were translated into Latin, a monk, Roger Bacon, manufactured the first modern magnifying glass that we use today in 1250 AD. He invented this magnifying glass to help the older monks read. And so was made the scientific observing tool, the magnifying glass, which is the basis of spectacles and microscopes, which form the core of science. So, if you want to become a forensic expert, and hunt for clues like Sherlock Holmes? Or if you want to become an entomologist studying insects, or if you just want to play with light and use light to kindle fires, always remember to carry your scientific observing tool everywhere because, like Ken Librecht said, keep your magnifying glass with you all the time because you never know when good crystals are going to strike. Thank you.